Understanding the rationale behind why Jesus said, husband, love your wife, even as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for it. Now, wife, submit yourself unto your own husband as it is fit in the Lord. Now, newly wedded couple are likely to face challenges as they move together or as they stay together as husband and wife. This is because they were all raised by separate people, separate parents. This is because we are associated with one tribe or the other. We have different sociocultural practices. And so what is acceptable by one may not be acceptable by two. What the guy or the man is used to, probably the lady is also not used to that. And what the lady is also used to, the man also may not be used by that. What do you do when you are confronted with certain situation like this race situation? Do you say because your wife actually is actually not in conformity with how you want things to be done, and so you are quitting? Do you also say that the way you talk, the way you eat, how you sleep, just to mention a few, that is not what the husband do. So you are uncomfortable, and so you are going back. Now, no, not at all. Now, your husband is likely to exhibit certain characters for which you will not be comfortable with. But what do? You ask yourself, what my husband is doing, is it something that has to do with character formation? Is it something that actually has nothing to do with sin? Or what actually he is doing? It is sin. You need to diagnose the problem very well. You need to find out the root source of the problem. When you get to know, then you know what to do. Now, the Lord is telling you, number one, let me begin with the wife, as you ought to submit yourself unto all lovely what others, all lovely what instruction given to you by the husband, so long as what your husband is telling you, it is not against the Bible, so long as what your husband is telling you, it is not against the constitution of the land, then you have to obey. You have to be. It is when your husband tells you to kill, to steal, to insult, or to do something that is actually considered sin, then you have every right not to do that because you ought to obey God rather than man. When your husband tells you to do something that has something to do with to find yourself actually difficult in the law courts, then you have to say no. But what your husband is telling you to do, if it's right, you have to do that. The fact that you actually do not like it does not mean that it is actually wrong. You need to sometimes also ask yourself, your character, what's your character? How do you handle issues? Are you sure the way you do your things is actually in conformity with how things ought to be? When your wife also go contrary to certain norms that you are not used to certain norms you are used to, she does the opposite. What do you do? Do you insult? Do you beat her? No, no, not at all. You don't do that. You don't do that. You see, for us to understand this and to make things work better as newly wedded couple, number one, husband, love your wife. Get to know that your wife is imperfect. Understand that she is not perfect. She is human. She is just a weaker vessel. She is born to make mistakes. Understand her. Know when to talk to her, to bring iron issues together, to bring sanity to certain things that bothers your mind. Know when to talk to her. But then you have to what? Perform your duty as a man. You see, sometimes some of these challenges that my wife actually do not take instruction or whatever I tell my, or simply put, my wife don't respect me or regard me as a man. You have to say, as a husband, as the head of the family, what do you do? Do you Do you perform your duty as a husband at home? You understand what I mean? If the answer is no, then you have to work on it. You must work at that. You are a man. You need to feed your home. You need to provide shelter, clothing for your home. Yes. You see, your wife comes in just to support you. Your wife comes in to assist you. Your wife comes in to just, push you. So before your wife comes in to do all it means that your wife has seen the vision, you has seen the mission objective, then you know that this is where we are going, this is where we are heading toward. Then she comes in to do that and listen. The wives also sometimes when they give one or two supports to whom when it can be anything, then they also some of them also tend to, behave like the man. You see, if you're a Christian, if you're a child of God, you are not supposed to fight with your wife. You are not supposed to fight with your husband. You know what? Even if your wife is disrespect to you, or if your wife does not respect you, as a man, what do you do? Do you retaliate? No. The best antidote to this is to keep on loving her. Remember, whilst we were yet sinners, Christ also died for us. And now he has won most of us. You understand? So if your wife actually is doing things that is not in conformity to even the word of God, you have to love her. Because God loves us all. You ought to show your wife real love. One day she will change. And probably you're also more fortunate. Maybe your husband is a humanizer and your husband also does so many things that you can't even speak of in public. Of course, you're not supposed to tell people what your husband done anyway. But what I'm trying to say is do you also say you're not going to submit to your husband simply because your husband cheats, simply because your husband is not a child of God, or simply because your husband does certain things that you see it as it's not good or it's unacceptable? No, you must submit yourself to your husband. You must obey your husband. You ought to pray for your husband so that with time, God will be on your side. Everything will be fine. Wife, submit yourself, submit your own body unto your wife as it is fitting the Lord. Husband, love your wife, even as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for it. Thank you.